Hey, this is Justin Kinnan and Ethan Penner with KinnanFAB, and we're going to show you guys how to install a 8000 8R roller on an 8R tractor. And this is how the roller will come. The roller will come to you guys shipped on a pallet, or if you come pick it up from us. The first thing we probably will do is remove all the smash plate bolts out of here. Most all of our rollers come shipped with the smash plate on the roller. We will remove these 8 bolts.
We're going to remove all the weights off the tractor. And we will set all the weights onto a pallet.
Once all the weights are removed, we like to put the forks under here, under the weight bracket, but you want to make sure you don't put the forks in too deep because we don't want to be under the tractor frame, just under the weight bracket. We like to use a 2x4 or 2x6 here to support our bottle jack so this doesn't flop forward, and we take these 8 bolts out, and we're getting ready to take these 8 bolts out, and then we'll go from there. So I forgot to mention in the last video that the socket you'll need to take these out of here, the bolt out of here, is a 30mm. Once you get the factory bolt out of here, KinnanFAB has furnished you with longer bolts because we're going to be putting a smash plate in here, so you'll need longer bolts. But you'll need to take the OEM washer off the factory bolts and put them on our longer bolts.
So when you go to install the smash plate, you always want to make sure that this arch is always facing up. Otherwise, when you go to shut the hood seal will hit on the smash plate.
Yep. Side shuffle to the right.
Finger square?
Yep. Yep. Now that Ethan's got the forklift out of the way, the first thing I'm going to check is, before I put all these bolts in, let's make sure the arch is up, and it is, so we're good here. But when I go to put these bolts in, don't gun them in. Start them in by hand the first couple threads. I don't want to gun them in because I don't want to take a chance of ruining the threads in the frame here, because that'd be a bad deal. So that's the bolts and torque them down, and then we'll put all the weights on and we'll show you how we put the roller on. All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and put all the weights back on that we got over here on our pallet. Some guys are going to want to try to put the roller on before the weights, which is fine, but the only problem is then to put the weights on, you got to carry them all over the top of the roller, so it's a lot harder work. So go ahead and put your weights on now. This time will be the easiest. All right, forward. Forward. Out, up. Yep. Get the pallet up under here. Sometimes if you're having troubles, you can use a roll back punch here and get this stuck in there and move these around to get these started. But once we get all the bolts in, we'll tighten them at the end. Do not tighten any of the bolts till you have all 8 started, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten the bolts. Once we get all the bolts tight, we're going to go ahead and lower the pallet down to the ground. At this time, I would just leave the pallet in because a lot of times it's stuck on these arms. Where we don't have any oil in the cylinders, we have no way to lift it. So we'll leave it in until we get our hoses hooked up. To hook the hoses up, the pre-made 90 fitting will go with the cylinder here. You'll need a 15/16 and a 7/8 wrench. And we will get a video once I get under there of how we do it. found that the easiest way is to just have one guy take the hoses to the back of the tractor to get rid of all the hose so we're not fighting all the hose. And then we'll go ahead and hook these on the cylinder once Ethan gets these pulled all the way through the back. And then we'll go to the back and we'll talk about how we hook them up back there. Underneath here. So once we get the hoses ran, we're gonna need to take the cylinder plugs out with an Allen wrench. So we'll take these out, both of these out. Then I'm gonna go ahead and grab the 90 fittings, and I'm gonna put the O-rings piece here goes into the cylinder. Tighten those tight, and I'm gonna get them kind of where I want them. When they're pretty snug, I'm facing the direction I kind of want my hoses ran. Put both of them in. We generally kind of point them toward the right side. We run down the right side of the frame generally on all of our stuff. Then I'm gonna take my 7/8 and I'm gonna take this jam nut and I'm gonna tighten this jam nut on both of them until they're tight. This will hold the fittings from rotating where we want them to be. If you get them where you don't want them later, just loosen them up here and move the hoses. And then I'm gonna take my 2 hoses and stick them on both of these and then tighten it with my 15/16 wrench. All right, once we got the cylinder all hooked up, we generally run the hoses off this way to the right and come under here, and then we start zip tying. I'm not gonna get into how everybody should do this because everybody does it differently, but the most important thing I would talk about is we need to make sure we're zip tied very well if we're coming under here on the right side so we don't get into the tires on the front and the back. Because generally it's always in the back where it cleans the hoses off when you turn and you're backing up. The other way I've seen hoses ran, so other guys will come over to this side and they'll fish them up in here through the hood and they'll run them up around here around the oil fill. And they'll come down the frame and then they're fishing them under the cab. That's another clean way to do it, and it keeps you from rubbing on stocks when you're in the field. But those are a couple different ways I've seen them do it. The other thing is if you come back here, these are generally what we're left with when we're done. We got extra hose because everybody runs them differently. We generally coil them up down here, zip tie them, and bring them into whichever SUV you want to run in. We also, KinnanFAB supplies orifices in these. This way if somebody turns the hydraulics up really high, they can't put too much oil to the cylinder. But remember, when this stuff's all shipped to you or picked up, everything's hand tight and you need to tighten it all with wrenches or you will have an oily mess. Hey, thanks for watching our video, how to install a roller on an 8R. If any of you guys have any questions on how to put it on or pricing, feel free to give us a call. Thank you.